Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Human in Me. You are here with your boy Mpomo, and today I am joined by Voyo once more.
Hi, everybody. Hello. It's good to be back. I said I would be back, so
Yeah,
now you know
and
I'm true
and
to my
another
word.
another reason why we have her here is because she's leaving,
Yeah.
so we're never gonna see her again.
What do you mean never gonna see me again? Wow.
You live in Cape Town, Amos.
I'm leaving Cape Town. I'm done with this degree. I'm done with UCT. I'm ecstatic. Jesus has been good. Jesus has been great. Jonga, life is looking good. And I don't know why your boy is over exaggerating. Of course, okay, uzobesebenza
Wow.
kulo nyaka uzayo. So can go. If I feel to come back and it's important, I can always come back.
Are you gonna come back though?
Hi, Paul. If there's a good enough reason for me to come back, of course I'll come back. And like, don't you? Why?
There is though, but we're not gonna talk about it.
That's not what we're here for.
Yeah, definitely. No, Mari, congratulations on on your journey of being a UCT student.
Thank you so
making
much.
it so far.
Thank you so
It's
much.
not everyone who, gets the privilege to start and finish this whole thing.
That's true.
Yeah, some people fall along the way and some people just choose to, move to other things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so pretty much sure you guys are wondering why we're doing this thing in our dorm room. But part of the reason why this is happening is because we couldn't go to our usual spot because the weather
what I
outside
mean.
was like it killed everything, so we just couldn't go there. But it's not a train smasher. And another thing is that the topic that we are about to touch on, I feel like it's very, very important. Because before I come here and record, I have conversations with people, and if I feel like we're talking about, if I get something from what we talk about, then I'm like, okay, we need to record this thing and put it out there, so that, because I'm pretty much sure the stuff that we are discussing or currently going through, there are people who are actually going through the same thing.
That's true.
So when we discuss that, we are kind of showing them that you're not alone. And with that being the case, we try to bring in what we think could be solutions to this problem. You see. So now we're going to talk about parenting. Not parenting in the sense that we are parenting children, but we're going to talk about our parents.
True. So basically, how we relate to our parents, and I mean, a few strategies on how we could kind of improve this whole relationship between children and parents, as a whole. Well, kind of like our ideas on what we think could be strategies, because there's no perfect model to parenting. Actually, this is one of the points we're going to touch on actually later on. Is that there is no such a thing as the perfect parent, or these are the 10 steps on how to raise your children perfectly. I mean, a lot of people can write books about it, but it's also always very subjective. Everyone is writing from their own experiences, from their own knowledge, So you can't take a model of another parent and implement it just as is to your kids, because it's not going to work. You guys are not raising the same person, and so it makes parenting a very subjective thing, a very unique thing, and sometimes what the mistake we like to do as kids is compare our parents to our friends' parents. Why mama sends us so? Because Mpo's parents allow him to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Mpo's parents do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for him, and we want to compare our parents as if I'm Mpo. And I don't know the backstory. I don't know good for Mpo to get those shoes. He had to work or he had to do something. I don't know that, but we like to compare our parents as if there's a perfect model, as if there's one good way to raise parents. Similarly, also our parents like to judge each other as if as if there are certain things that you must do, like prerequisites you must do in order for you to qualify as being a good parent. And then I think those things are far-fetched, and these are the things we're going to break down today and kind of just have a conversation about and just chat about them a bit.
So if you are sitting there and you're wondering why we're having this conversation, I'm about to get into that. So part of the reason why we are having this conversation is because we had a conversation before where we were talking about. I'm just gonna share a personal experience of mine. So we were basically talking about we were talking about my father, right? So the problem now here is that my father has this thing of wanting us to talk to him in a specific way. So you have to address him in a specific way. But now the problem now is that obviously, like, we do come from different eras, and the way we go about communicating with people is not the same. So I'm more of a slanging type of person, Yeah, I slang a lot, especially when I speak my home language. There's a lot of tsotsitaal in there, and he doesn't agree with any of that, because the thing that he keeps on telling me is that I'm gonna be a parent. So I have to get to that point where, I talk in a more formal way, so that, my children can respect me as their father and all that. And, I do get where he's coming from, but the problem now is that with the whole thing of him wanting me to speak to him in a certain way is that, what do you call this thing? Personally, I feel like it's standing in the way of us communicating, because we are not really used to each other that much, So it kind of creates a barrier, because now talking to him becomes a mission. We are told, because you have to prepare yourself emotionally, psychologically, and mentally, and rehearse everything in your mind before you talk to him, because when you say any slang word, it's gonna be a problem. You're always gonna get that reminder that, but I told you to never speak to me like this. And that's another thing. Like, even when it comes to the whole thing of us talking and communicating with one another, we don't talk that often. I'm pretty much sure per year we only talk like 2 to 3 times, depending on what, but we talk here and there. So the chances of me ever catching up to what he wants me to do, it's a completely different thing. And it seems like another thing that he's missing out is the fact that I'm also trying to run my life, right? There are certain things that are far more important than speaking formally. Like, I'll get to that. Yeah, I get that. But at this stage, I'm dealing with a lot of things that I feel like these are the most important things, and these are what I need to touch on. So, and then I talked to Voyo the other day, and she ended up showing me Gucci. To a certain degree, I need to get to a point where I understand that this person was born in a different era. This person, has their own way of looking at the world, and I just thought I should, give her the chance to give me the same advice again, but with you guys in the home. So,
yeah, Mpo, I feel like it goes back to what I said the other day. Actually, a good scene. Our parents are a product of their parents. They are a product of their upbringing, And there are a lot of things that, for us, our parents do, and Ziaspora, because we just don't understand why they don't understand the good they are wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a big thing with our parents, people our age now, and parents their age, our parents' age, is that they grew up in an era where being a parent was such an authoritative figure, that they were raised like that, and now they feel like it's their turn to be that voice and that sense of authority. Ne? And I feel like it starts with understanding that. Then you will understand that in order for you to approach this thing, you need to sit down with your parent as an adult and talk to them.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand, you're just going to keep getting irritated. You're just going to keep getting irritated, and you're going to keep shutting him off.
Definitely.
You get what I'm saying? You're going to avoid him, which is what has been happening.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening right now.
You're going to avoid him because we are Dina, and you just don't understand why he's being so unreasonable. But if you understand the fact that, man, Lomuntulona, in his head, he doesn't understand that he's being unreasonable. In his head, he doesn't see it as being unreasonable. If anything, he's not understanding where you are not complying. Because if the roles were reversed and it was his dad talking to him, he would have complied the first time. But we are different, like I said, and we have the privilege of being born in a different era where we understand certain things, more things at a younger age than our parents did. So you now at your age and the wisdom that you have right now is not equivalent to the wisdom your dad had at your age.
Yeah, definitely.
So you must always understand, Ogutsi, when he addresses you, he's going to expect you to react like he would have reacted at your age. But he doesn't understand, Ogutsi, we don't live in the same era. And because the person is a product of their upbringing, is a product of their time, we are fortunately a bit more advanced than our parents were at our age. You get what I'm saying? So now it doesn't matter. Now we're all at a level of equal maturity. Therefore, if we understand that, we'll be able to actually sit down with our parents and have adult conversations with them. And you will never know. Maybe all it takes is just saying, Jonga, Dad, I understand, but this is how you want me to talk. But right now, I feel like you always forcing me to talk to you like this is creating this barrier, and it's creating a barrier between communication and between you and I, because I'm just going to avoid you. And he's also going to start thinking, okay, wow, this is why we only speak 3 times a year. Wow, this is why you always sound so distant when I'm trying to talk to you. This is why you will never open up. And you never know. Maybe that's all it takes. And from that day on, he will totally see it differently, you know? And I think it goes back to understanding Ogutsi. We don't know everything. We still need them. And
yeah, definitely. We do need those people.
Yeah, we still need them. We don't know everything. But as much as we need them, our parents are not superheroes and they do not have it all figured out. Because the reason why we get so irritated and so angry and it's hard for us to forgive our parents when they make mistakes is because we put them on such a high pedestal. We put your mother and dad, from when you were a little girl, or a little boy and your dad was able to fix that toy or whatever, you put him on such a high pedestal. He's always your superhero. And now when he makes a mistake, you don't understand. It breaks you because highball. This person is supposed to have it all figured out. And it's by understanding, we could see everybody is a product of their own experiences. There are certain things that our parents will never understand, and it's simply because they never had that experience.
That's true. That's true.
You know? It's simply because they never had, not because we are smarter than them. People mustn't misunderstand what I was saying a few minutes earlier. Not because we're smarter than them. It's just we live in an era where we are more exposed to certain things, to the sense where I don't have to go through certain things personally for me to know how they would impact a person, because I've met and sat down and spoken to people who have been impacted like that.
Yeah.
But in the past, people who were together were the same. You get what I'm saying? I'm a Xhosa, I'm a Pedi, water. So like people didn't interact much with other people, so all they knew was restricted to the experiences that they had.
That's yeah.
So there are certain things that will be difficult for them to understand that they still need to learn right now. And we need to understand that, and we need to be able to give grace. And we need to be able to forgive our parents. Because one day we are going to be parents, guys. And technology and everything is only getting faster. It's not getting slower. So 20 years from now, we are going to be the ignorant ones to our parents. We are going to be the ones who are not understanding how the world is moving. And we want our parents to be able to forgive us. And that's what we need to be able to give right now.
No, when I really, like when you were talking there, it kind of reminded me of something that we talked about a few days ago. Because I agree when you say that we also need to realize that we come from different eras, and we come from we are basically a generation that's, you know, that's exposed to instant information. Like we can get information now, and some other times you don't even have to go through things for us to understand how they are going to impact other people. So the thing that I've come to realize, and the thing that I feel like could give parents a chance into, you know, understanding how their children go about, you know, making sense of the world, right, is to try to get to a level where they can develop a habit of listening to their kids, right? Because what I usually say is that in order for you to give your children advice, right, you need to understand that when you give them advices, they won't understand you if you give them advices based on your own personal experiences, because they can't even create a mental picture of what you're talking about in their head at that moment when you're telling them those things, because they've never gone through them. It's the same thing that happens when our parents try to warn us against the friends that we have right? They are trying to show us something that's going to happen in the nearer future, but we've never seen that before. So it gets difficult for us to relate to that. So now the best way, the best way that you can go about this thing is to make sure you give yourself the time to sit down and listen to your children. Like, ask them, how was school? How do you play with your friends? Just let them talk and tell you about how they go about interacting with their friends at school and at home. So as they go about doing that, right, over time this thing builds up and it gets to a point where now you can be able to determine the personalities of the children that they are playing with.
Yeah,
and
true.
you get to know how your child is relating to those people, right? So when you try to give them advices based on the fact that they are, the friends are gonna turn against them or what it's gonna happen, it makes it easy if you say those things, if you give them advice, right, based on their own personal experiences. But the only way you can get touch on that is if you sit down with them and then you listen to them when they talk. You don't have to listen to them, like ask them specific questions. You just sit there and then you listen. They keep on talking. Over time, when you do that, you'll realize that no, man, there are links. So things start to come together, and then that's when you get to understand how your child thinks, how the people or the children that they play with think. So when you give them advice, you'd be like, you still remember the time when you were telling me that your friend did this and this and this and that? This is basically the same thing that you're going to encounter.
Exactly.
So now the child is
So
like,
so this is what that was meaning.
Exactly. But they don't do that. The only thing they do is, you see that friend of yours? You should
don't like
never
that friend.
Exactly.
I
And
don't
when
like
you don't understand why.
My mom always used to say, and but like they never actually say what that
Why?
means. And then down the line you're like, oh, when my mama says like I'm tandumgani, you must just know. But like, it could have been avoided if you say it like that.
And even when those things happen, the only thing that that would come out of them is, but I told you. Yeah, you did tell me, but this is the thing. For me to understand something, I need to be able to create a mental presentation of that. This is basically what I usually tell people, that there's literally no such a thing as a person who is intelligent or what, right? Familiarity breeds understanding.
That's true.
For you to understand something, you have to be familiar with it.
That's true.
So if you're not familiar with whatever is being presented to you, it's gonna be difficult for you.
Exactly.
So that's just the thing. Nobody, like, no child is stupid. No one is stupid. Because I know there are some people who would like literally try to say something to you, and if you don't understand, they'll be like,
There are kids who are mechanics that have never been to school, but can strip a car and put it back together.
Exactly.
This is what kids go through 12 years of school education. Oh, this is what kids go through 12 years of school education, plus another 4 years of undergrad. Studying to be engineers. There are people who, just because their uncle or their father was a mechanic and they used to help out, they can strip a car and put it back together perfectly.
Exactly. Familiarity is what breeds understanding. So if you can be familiar with your child's whatever life, or how they go about interacting with the world, it makes it easy. Like, it gives you a passport. Like, you have a visa valid, to just go in and out of their lives, as you see fit, because it gives you the power to be able to understand them. And as as they grow up, that's when you start, then preparing them for adulthood, where you're like, this is what you're gonna come across, this is what you're gonna come across, this is how you can deal with it, using their own past experiences. It makes it easy for them to understand that. But if you don't do that, then there'll always be that disconnection between what you think is supposed to happen and what your child thinks is supposed to happen.
And like I said, this is such a good thing, and for people and for parents to actually grasp. But I understand as well, Oguti, on the flip side, it can be so hard to get us as kids to open up and actually talk to our parents.
Yeah.
It can be so hard. Like, you come back from school and your mom asks, oh, how was school? Fine. We don't actually sit down and talk to them. And it's even weird when they actually come sit down in our room. It's like, why are you in my space? Why are you here? And I think that mainly comes in because of how they choose to relate to us. You know, I feel like it's very important for one to cultivate a culture of good communication with their child while the child is still young, which means you model this culture to your kid. Our parents never talk to us. No, they don't. They come back from work, they're grumpy, they're angry. We don't know what happened. We just know we're gonna feel the brunt. You know, that's all we know. Like they don't talk to us about their day. We don't know if they have friends. We don't know what they do. We don't even know what they do as their job. You know, we just know my mom works. What does your mom do?
Yeah.
You know, like that's all we know. What do they do? We don't know because they don't talk to us. And then when it comes to raising someone, because you're older when we're still kids, you know better. We actually need you to show us certain things, but you need to be able to give them to us from our perspective and in a way that I can relate to them. And that's exactly what you're saying, Paul. And in order for that to happen, I need to then be able to talk to you. And I was telling Umpo yesterday, I don't think it's an age difference thing, because everybody I'm sure knows that there was that one teacher at school that you could just talk to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That you could just talk
That's
to.
true.
They were as old as your parents, or even older than your parents sometimes. The age didn't matter. You could just talk to them because of the way they chose to relate to you, because of the way they chose to first open up to you and model that behavior for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for our parents to do that. And I was telling Paul, I think this is why white families are so much better with dealing with teenage drama than black families. This is why. Because those people, when they come back, they switch their phones off, they sit together as a family and they talk. Starting from the dad to the mom, everybody knows everything. The family is a group of friends. Therefore, I can't be. I was just saying people's names. I don't know. Jonathan will be able to say, actually, this is what I'm going through 1, 2, 3, 4 with my girlfriend, and the dad will be able to come and give in wisdom as advice. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
which is what we need. Tina was still hiding. Everybody knows we're doing it. Our parents know we're doing it. That's why the other day I had a post on Facebook. You won't know because he unfriended me on Facebook.
I hate them. I hate.
I know.
It's for a good cause.
I know, I get it. But yeah, I had a post on Facebook where I was like, dear black parents, Uzumi Tenje is not sufficient sexual advice for your girls. Talk to us. We need it. And that's exactly what happens. They know.
So uzomita basically means that you'll get pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It basically means uzo, you get pregnant. But like when they say it like uzumi tenje, they're saying if you dare get pregnant.
Oh yeah.
That's what they're saying. They say if you dare get pregnant. And you ask yourself, at that time you might have not even had sex. You don't even know what this is. Now you know these ideas are already planted into your head. And it means that they know that you started dating. They seeing impulse about, okay, now Uvuyo has started with, but why then don't you sit down with me and give me the advice and talk to me and ask me, okay, Vuyo, what is happening?
Because that's important.
Exactly. But all they want to do is chaff out these little warnings that you don't understand, that have no basis. And that's what makes us close off. That's what makes us close off. And this is what Umpa was saying. It's that they can see that this is a familiar situation. I've been in this situation. They've got knowledge about it. But now the difficulty is how to present this advice. Because abagwaz.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it's very important just to adopt that. Abantwana learn from modeling.
Yeah.
Abantwana watch and do what the parents do.
That's why it's always said, Uguti, children look at what you do instead of do what you tell them to do.
Exactly. If you say to your child, you must never drink alcohol, but you're saying that holding a bottle, they will also tell their kids, you must never drink alcohol.
Yeah, while they're still drinking alcohol.
You know, it's just like that. So if we want our kids to be able to talk to us, we must be able to talk to them first. Just call me and say, yo, Vuyo, this is what's happening. So that Nama can think, yo, mama, this is what's happening. You know?
And another thing that I wanted us to touch on, because you did mention the fact that Guti, you know, sometimes our parents would be coming back from work and, you know, we know Guti, it's World War IV now, as soon as they walk inside the house.
Yeah.
So I wanted us to touch on that because it's a very, very important thing, which is what a lot of people don't understand when I, you know, talk to them about that. So, you know what I wanted to do? So now, the thing that happens here is that okay, I was talking about World War IV when your parents come
Yeah.
back from work. So, I'm mentioning this thing mostly for parents to understand what's going on and for us also to understand what's going on, because it's not their fault that they are doing that. Like you said, parents are human beings, they're not superheroes. They have their own faults just like everybody else. So we also need to understand where they are coming from before we jump into unnecessary conclusions, right? So the thing with regards to World War IV is that before I started the podcast, there was this thing that I was doing where I was reading books on neuroscience, right? So I used to come across certain sections in the books that I was reading where they talked about misplaced aggression. So with misplaced aggression is this thing that when something makes you angry, something that you cannot beat, or something that you don't have the power to deal with at that time, right? You tend to take your aggression out on something else.
True.
And that thing has also been shown when it comes to gorillas. Gorillas also do the same thing. So if the male gorilla gets beaten up by another alpha, whatever, it's gonna come back and beat its woman, and then the woman will beat the fuck out of the children. So that's that's basically
Like a ripple effect.
It's like a ripple effect, and they did the study in Nigeria, if I can remember properly. They did the study in Nigeria because it's in I found that thing in the book called I forgot. I think it's called Behave by Robert Sapolsky. Yeah, Robert Sapolsky, Behave. So so that's the thing. So I wanted us to realize a good thing. Our parents, when they go to work, they come across a lot of things. They get shouted at sometimes. There's a lot of stress at work and all those things. So now the sad part about being a human being is that when you are stressed, right, your body is functioning from a point of survival, where the only thing that you care about is to take care of the thing that's stressing you.
That's true.
It's basically the same thing that happens when you are hungry. Have you seen how people become grumpy when they're hungry?
I'm one of them.
Exactly. So that's just
And
the
I'm
thing.
grumpy right now. I'm so grumpy.
You see? Well, at least you're not gonna take it out on me. So
Because people are watching.
so that's the thing. Like even when you're hungry, it's basically the same thing, because now your body and brain is prioritizing taking care of the hunger.
That's
Until
true.
you become number one. Even at that time, even if your child cries, you're not gonna give a fuck about the child, because priority. It's basic human nature. It's not our fault. So that's basically the same thing that usually happens with our parents. I'm like, you've seen this thing when your boyfriend has made you angry. You're taking out this thing on everybody else. That's why parents are always complaining with teenagers are
That's true.
That's just the thing.
Yeah, you get home and you're rude.
You just rude on
And you're not
everyone.
like, what's going on? You're rude, you're grumpy.
No, but it's because of whatever happened when you're there on the streets. And when you get home, people become triggers now. And you just jump on them because you're taking out what's inside on them. So that's basically what happens with parents now, Boguti. When they come back from work, that's the state they're usually in. At the end of the day, stressed, tired, hungry. They just need to get home. They just need to relax. So at that moment or at that time, their body, like the brain, prioritizes, their survival. I need to relax. I need to get food. I need to take care of the stress. So now when they get home and they find Wuti, fuck, this child didn't wash the dishes.
Sure.
World War IV begins. And then when we look at them, it's just like, lady in faith, lady. But what we don't understand is that this is the thing. If that person were to come back from work happy, they wouldn't shout at you for not doing the dishes.
Or if, like, sometimes you do them and you just don't pack them, and they come back and they're like, yeah, this is the same as not doing them. And you just feel like, yeah, this is so ungrateful.
You see, can't you know this poor person is like stressed, or this person is
True.
hungry, and all
That's
those
true.
things. So I'm mentioning these things so that at least you can understand it, as you are sitting there watching this thing. I want you to understand that, and also be aware of it as it happens in other people's lives, and try to share the information with them and be like, this is bound to happen, but we need to understand the reasons why it happens so that we can understand. I remember this other time when I was telling this other girl who once visited me. So we were chilling there, and then I was telling her that another thing that we kind of one thing that I feel like a lot of us need to look at, especially when we're in relationships, because those same things happen in relationships. I would come back from work and I'm tired and I'm all moody and shit. And you're busy there trying to get close to me, or you try to bond with me, and I'm just like, just stay the fuck away from me. And that thing obviously usually causes a lot of tension in the relationship, right? But if you understand, which when this person comes back from work and they're acting like that and they are tired, or if this person comes back from work and they easily get triggered, right? If you understand, if you are equipped with this information, you'll be able to walk up to them and be like, okay, babes, look, I understand that you have a long day, or I understand that something might have happened to you at work, right? I understand all those things. Would you like to talk about it? Because, because you understand with you, why are they acting that way?
True. Okay, your mom comes back shouting at you, and you realize, oh man, this is what they were talking about on the human in me. Then you just make her a cup of coffee, and you bring a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you just tell her, just sit down so that I can make you a cup of coffee.
Because then you understand, and then the next time she'll also understand. She'll ask, okay, why did you react like that? Then you're like, no, because I understand, but this could have been because you had a hectic day and it's just misplaced. Then the next time she's coming back and she thinks of getting irritated at you because of those dishes, she'll remember, but oh man, this must have been because Sandra was shouting at me.
Or because of the fact that I'm stressed, or because of the fact that I'm hungry. Because those things, like it's just the small things. Like even the thoughts that we think are determined by our biology. I remember a few days yesterday. Yesterday, I was talking to someone about school, right? And then I ended up going like, dude, I'm just so fucking tired of school. I just want to fucking do, like, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired of this thing. But a few minutes after that, I came back and I realized, Kuti, the only reason why I was saying those things, saying that I'm tired, was because there's something happening in my life right now that's literally draining me, right?
True.
So everything that
is just tiring.
Exactly. Everything is just tiring. It doesn't necessarily mean that I meant that, right? But it's just that at that time, there's something happening in my life that's literally causing me to start thinking like that. That's literally my biology taking over, when I'm told. So if you can understand that, you'll come to realize that when you talk to your friend about something, you can see, they run out of it, just like, fuck. Yeah. It kind of gives you a chance to be like, okay, besides this thing, is there anything that's happening in your life that's stressing you? Maybe we can talk about that.
Communication we were talking about earlier.
We are born again. So that's so that's the thing. Like that's what understanding actually gives you. It gives you that power to be able to be the bigger person. So you are.
Please repeat that. Please listen. Please repeat that.
Repeat.
What understanding does.
Oh, yo, fuck. Okay. Oh no, and when you understand certain things, they tend to give you power to be able to be the bigger person. When told, because when you understand, you are able to understand why certain people do things the way they do, and you are able to, come down to their level and be like, okay, look, I see what's going on.
That's true.
This is how we can work this thing out. When told. So. Like that's what I there was this other part where I said, I posted on my WhatsApp and I was like, I'm the most understanding person I know.
I saw that.
Like I wasn't lying, and I wasn't even on my high horse at the time, but I felt like, but I am the most understanding person in the world.
You really
like,
are, because
literally.
you know so much.
Exactly. You
know so much. It's such a burden, though. And we spoke about it. I remember you said this to me. You were like, but sometimes the burden of knowledge, you always have to be the bigger person. And I was like, Antiwana, what did you think you were getting into? Like,
I did not sign up for that, but yeah, I'm
but
here now.
But that's what it comes with. And I feel like you get to a point where you realize about. You can't even help it. Sometimes you want to be mad. But you can't. Like, remember the other day we were walking back from getting the snacks and I was telling you about the fight I had with my friend. And I was like, if he doesn't call me back, we'll just never talk again. So I call him, right? Because
you're the bigger person.
Of course.
You see?
And sometimes you want to be mad, but you just can't, because you understand. Because to this thing, there's way more important things.
Exactly.
You can't be holding on to these little things. And also, more than that, you understand where they're coming from at that point. Even before they explain, you have the mind to understand. You have the mind to understand. You have the mind to the heart to forgive, even before someone has gotten to the point of understanding it one of themselves. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like people who can think to that level are very needed in this life. They are very needed, because I mean, like, even when you look at the thing that we just talked about, misplaced aggression. It at the end of the day, the degree to which people do that differs.
True.
some people do take it to the extreme because they have a less threshold for anger, and some people, can be able to, their threshold is much bigger. So the degree to which they cause damage or they become destructive is is not the same as the other person. So the sad part with this thing is that some people's lives get fucked up because of what somebody did to them at that moment when they were angry. So relationships between parents and children get fucked up because of that. Relationships between people who are married get fucked up because of that. So if we can understand, Uguti, sometimes when you see, even in the morning, when you see your colleague coming to work and they're all irritable and stuff, just walk up to them and be like, look, I got you a cup of tea and there are biscuits there, chow something and you'll feel good.
Just an act of kindness, Nje, because you can see you got some right.
There's something happening. I remember I once attended, I had a clinic in the morning, and then when I was there, that morning I was so irritable, like everything just kept on pissing me off, right? But because I know the stuff that I know, I was like, I didn't have breakfast in the morning. That's why I'm acting like this. So after that, after I realized the reason why I'm acting like this is because of the fact that I didn't have breakfast, I came back and I was like, okay, shit, now I need to come back because I realized my biology is fucking up with my thoughts. So if we can understand, this is why the Human in Me podcast exists, in fact. Like, I'm bringing this information from the books in the library, from the research, from UGT itself, and I'm bringing it to the people, on the ground and be like, look.
So that people don't have to do the work you had to do to gain the knowledge. You can just sit back and listen.
And it's summarized and it's modified and, it's put in a context that you can understand. Because even though these things, the research is done, the majority of time these things are done in the lab.
That's true.
So you have to try to bring them closer and be like, okay,
relate to people
so that they can understand. This is the reason why the podcast exists in the first place.
And this is why you should never stop, because people need it.
Yeah,
South Africa needs it. Africa needs it. The world needs it. People need it.
So I shouldn't stop.
No.
Yeah, but I'm glad we actually had this conversation. I think we touched on everything that we needed to touch on.
Yeah, I think so too. And I had such a good time. You should sign me up as co-host. I say this again for the 1,000th time. But
yeah, so you could be a good co-host, because I realized when we started this thing, there was a part where you took over, and I'm like, you see.
That was a mistake. This is me practicing for when I'm a radio DJ one day.
It's a good thing, because I don't have to tell you, okay, this is what you need to do,
Yeah, but I feel like your co-host is great. You guys have a good chemistry. You guys vibe very well. So you don't need me. You guys are good. You guys are gonna go.
What do you? Maybe one day I might have a bigger studio. Who knows?
Okay, look, if you have a bigger studio, I'll be there, of course.
Yeah.
All you need to do.
Because that's the plan. It needs to get to a point
it's
where
going there. It's going there. Yeah. Should I take this moment to tell the people out there about my EP that's out? It's called Queen. Do that. Because we're doing things.
Yeah,
so guys, I have an EP out. Like I said, I go by the name Missy. My EP Queen is actually coming out on the 8th of November. I'm sure by the time you see this, it will already be out. On SoundCloud, on YouTube, and on all other streaming platforms in the next couple of days. So you might have to wait about a week to get it on iTunes and stuff, but it will be there. Missy Queen. And yeah, let's jam, guys.
And another thing is that one of her songs is our soundtrack. And I always have the link of the soundtrack on the YouTube channel. So you can just click on the link and it will take you straight to her.
Straight to me.
To the songs, and you can just listen to them and listen to the EP.
Thank you so much, Mpo. This has been amazing. This is a great opportunity. And this will make me a lot of money when you are famous and people will watch this. And I'll be famous because you're famous.
When people start making money, they don't even send us anything. But that's besides the point.
Wow, shade, spice.
No, Magai, thank you very much for agreeing to this.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Hopefully, I will be here again in the future. But till then, good luck in all your endeavors. Yeah.
Yeah, and to those people who are still writing exams, man, all the best.
All the best. You got this. To those people subbing, you are going to do it. Don't worry.
And do finish your exams. And remember,
Please,
because
please.
this is the last time I'm ever going to record. Remember that in December, you have to take care of yourself.
Yes, please don't die in December. Guys, December is just another month. It's just another 31
don't
days.
die,
Come
wow.
on. Don't kill yourself in December. Singakubona ku 2020.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Have a good time. Have fun, man. It's festive. Love.
And spend
laugh.
time with the family, man.
Yes, spend a lot of time with
Your
your
siblings,
family.
they need you, those people.
And
your mother and your father. Just have conversations with your father.
Have conversations.
You
with
can
your
even talk
parents.
about girls. No, I'm kidding.
Ooh,
No, Maria. Yeah. Let's.
Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Let's disappear. We'll see you again next year, guys.
Next year.
And
All the best. Bye.
bye bye.